Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right. We've got so many choices out there. I mean, this transfer portal has filled up like crazy. So many great players out there that we need to get. And this is my friend Byroni and I. We're talking about all of these choices and what we really need to focus on as a Vol. So we're going to get into that here in a minute. But I'm going to tell you what, this is the opportunity. This is the time to fix this defense, and it needs to be fixed. And if you Vol coaches are out there, I hope you're listening to me. We need defensive backs. We have got to get some cornerbacks that can cover. I hope you're hearing me.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
That's right. Anyway, let's get into this conversation.
But let's talk about our biggest, obvious, glaring need, and that is cornerback. Our cornerback play was very poor this year, and it really was our Achilles heel. We have got to get some cover corners. We've got to get some guys who can shut down their number one and number two receivers. If we can do that, we are golden, because our offense will take care of itself at some point. We know that.
I agree. I just think if we just get one or two or three stops a half, we're going to be in good shape. So if you get, there's a couple of good guys out there. There's the guy from Virginia who is a ACC first or second team guy. He's very highly rated corner. And then I believe you were mentioning earlier Grimes for North Carolina's out there, and then possibly a rehabilitation center here at Tennessee for the Texas A&M 5-star.
Yeah, I think all the Texas A&M, they need a different culture, maybe a more positive one. And get away from the Texas A&M situation. There's a 5-star out of A&M, Denver Harris. That would be a huge pickup for us. He's a cover corner that is, top 25 player, 5-star recruit last year. And there's Tony Grimes, who's also a 5-star out of North Carolina. I mean, those two guys right there are guys you could put out there that could really blanket some guys. And that is our weakest link.
You are the weakest link. Come on.
The problem is it seemed like our defensive line did a great job and could get to them, but those guys got open so quickly. It was almost near impossible unless we brought a lot of people. We bring, 5 or 6 on the pass rush. So if you could get every second counts, it's crazy. If those guys can just cover for an additional second, I think our pass with Ronnie Garner and with his work at the defensive line, I mean, we were great this year, much improved. So I'm with you. I think if those corners are of utmost need.
Yeah, because we went from 77th to 40th in scoring. I think we went from like 31 points a game. We were giving up to 24 points a game, which was a huge improvement. That was all on the defensive line. But our defensive line played at a level that they totally had to go to passing to defeat us, but they were able to do it because we could only play zone for the most part because we don't have cover corners, and if you don't have cover corners, your safety help had better be unbelievable. I mean, it really puts you in a dilemma when your corners can't really cover one-on-one.
And it's not necessarily you have to play that man all the time. It really kind of hamstrings you on what coverages you show. And if you can just mix up coverages, if you have the ability to mix them up and we have the confidence to go to more man, the more capability you have on defense, you really are just trying to confuse that offense. And if they know you can't do it, you're doomed before even the ball snapped.
Yeah, they'll just run to the area where they know it's open. And then there they are, and then he throws that quick pass, and there you go. And they just go right down the field. Whereas if you can mix up and put the man-to-man in there, they can't do that. They can't go to where they know, hey, I'm going to be a little bit open. They don't know that they'll be open. But if you go man-to-man and you can't cover and you get burned, you're toast. There's a touchdown.
Yep. And we saw that. So I'm with you. I think it's real important to get some help in that back end of that defense.
Yeah, and then on top of it, we're losing a lot of wide receivers this year, and there's a bunch of good wide receivers out there. I mean, a crap load. There's some proven talent, Then you've got some 5-star talent out there that's in the transfer portal as we speak, looking for a home. I would think they would be heavily looking at the Vols because look what he did with Cedric Tillman. Look what he did with Jalen Hyatt. I mean, those guys are going to the NFL and they're going to make their Benjamins. And if you're a wide receiver out there and you're looking for a place to make your money, the Vols is the place to go. Not only because of NIL money, that's going to be the small potatoes compared to going to the NFL where you might sign a $10 million contract.
Yeah, some of the thought processes there that concern me are if you're a top level wide receiver, the offense can feature you. It's who's going to get you the ball. So I think one thing that I would love for us to see is to get sort of one of those grad transfer quarterbacks. The guy that's just got 1 year left who says, hey, I can come in here and compete, maybe get the job before Nico, let Nico redshirt. That, someone like, and I think Leary is an older quarterback from NC State. He entered the portal here recently. He's a good player. And I kind of like that Armstrong, someone like that Brendan Armstrong from Virginia, who was proven when he was with the coordinator under Bronco Mendenhall, he was a superstar. And then Tony Elliott came in last year and he fell off the map. So he might be a little undervalued. But if you get someone in there like that, then you can, it's going to help us, but it might help sell a receiver. Hey, look, we've got a lot of options. We've got Milton, we've got Nico, we've got this Jackson, who's a freshman. We got this grad transfer. We got 4 good options that we're going to find who's the best in the spring who can get you the ball. So I think that's a little bit someone who might hesitate in the transfer portal. And when it comes to the receivers, I would rather go after that proven commodity guy. You can, if a 5-star's out there and he's not getting on the field, you're not really sure, well, why is he there? Maybe he's just buried under the depth chart. Maybe he's not quite as good as they thought he was coming out. I'm a bird in hand kind of a guy because I know what Heupel can do. He doesn't need a 5-star to make him awesome. A high 3, a 4 on a receiver. So you get someone who can catch the ball and is a proven guy. Personally, that's how I would rather go.
Well, they've got those too. You've got O'Keefe out of the University of Central Florida, which he recruited. He's had 73 catches for over 700 yards last year. He is a guy he is a ball magnet. That's a guy that would be an absolute option. I would be surprised if he doesn't wind up here. So that's exactly down the vein of what you're discussing. Then you got Ra Thomas out of Mississippi State. He's available. I think we've offered him. And then you've got Dominique Lovett out of Missouri. He's probably one of your top guys out there as far as transfers, proven commodities. Go ahead.
I saw Xavier Worthy for Texas has entered recently too. I don't know his situation, but he showed flashes of brilliance. He kind of reminded me of a Jalen Hyatt kind of a guy. I'm not sure he has that speed, but he's kind of a lanky, high, one of those explosive play kind of a guys. By the time we're doing this video, 10 more might pop in the portal. So you don't know. I guarantee
you that'll happen. At least 10 more will come in because there's 1,000 so far. And last year there was 3,000. So there's going to be 100 a day probably enter and try to find a spot. There's not going to be a spot for every one of them. So some of them will stay where they're at. But there's a 5-star, Theo Weiss, out of Oklahoma wide receiver that's available. There's also JoJo Early is a wide receiver. It was a top 50 player at Alabama. And the Alabama guys, sometimes they just can't get on the field because there's some superstar in front of them or, another 5-star.
JoJo Earl made a big catch against us. I think that was one of the passes we busted coverage. He ran down the flat, wide open situation against us. So he's shown flashes, but I don't know what was going on with Alabama because it seems like they had the talent at receiver, and it seemed like Bryce Young could get it to him. I don't know what is going on there, but yeah, I mean, they're going to have their pick. The big thing, this is going to be kind of also like managing a salary cap,
Yeah.
seeing what kind of money you have. You know, we've got so much. I mean, it's not, it's a lot, but not unlimited. And, you know, you got to value what these guys are wanting to what you think they can become. And kind of, there's a little bit of a money ball function in this.
You want me to speak?
We're not pointing you yet.
1092.
So I mean, it's pretty fascinating. It's pretty fascinating to, you know, what kind of guys they get, and I'm sure it's like market value, you know. So,
well, it's free agency.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's free agency, and it's not as controlled as the NFL. It's more wild because the team doesn't control the money. The NIL property does, which would be Spire Sports for the Vols, and their goal was $25 million per year. Now, I don't know if they've reached that goal, but most of the teams are not anywhere near that much. Only the very, very top tier teams like a Texas A&M and Texas, you know, wherever that oil money is, there's plenty there. That's why A&M had the epic recruiting class that they did. And we're hopefully going to be rating that class as much as we can. And there are some absolute superstar possibilities that I think Josh Heupel could really do something with, like he did with Brew McCoy.
Yeah, I think, and that's the deal. If we do have those resources and we spend it correctly, with his ability to move the chess pieces around the football field, we can be pretty scary. But it's you know, it's just like free agency. You've got to hit on the right guy. You hope you pick the right guy that doesn't flame out. So I mean, it's a pretty neat time right now, and it's pretty interesting. I know I wouldn't want that job. I mean, think of all the stuff a head coach has to do, and now you add that layer to it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, you're moving chess pieces now. It's not checkers anymore.
Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah, and you really, at some point in time, I would not be shocked if universities have some sort of a general manager type role, not just the head football coach, just like in the NFL, you know, the ones that deal with player personnel and do all that stuff with the portal, because the coach can just be overwhelmed. You're going to have I don't know how that would work, but it would not shock me if some sort of position flowered out of all this NIL stuff.
Yeah, and they might even work for Spire Sports, but also have a connection to the, you know, I don't know.
Correct.
I would think that it's such a wild, wild west right now. You can probably get away with a lot as far as how things are connected or disconnected, because I don't know what the rules are really hard and fast right now. I think they're moving constantly.
And that's the deal with the collective. And I know at one point, the athletic director wanted to kind of distance themselves from Spire. And I don't know the inner workings and the politics. And I know some big hitters came in and said, hey, we got to embrace this a little bit. And you do need a good relationship with that, and maybe some liaison between Spire and the coach that the coach really likes, that is good with Spire, to say, hey, look, this is what we need, so they can be on the same page, because that can get messy when they're wanting to pay somebody the coach really doesn't want or need, or, you know,
the coach
who knows? I mean, this is crazy right now.
The coach can't even answer the question. Well, how much you going to say? Well, that has nothing to do with me. You'll have to talk to Spire Sports.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more difficult than the NFL, because there, you know how much money you have and you have a budget and all that. It's like, look, I can pay $5 million for this offensive lineman, and that's it. Or I can spend 1.5 or whatever, because I had to pay my quarterback $50 million. You know?
Yeah.
We have two offensive linemen that are super high rated out of Alabama that haven't gotten on the field yet. One is a 5-star, and that's Brockemeyer. He's a big-time 5-star offensive tackle that has not really gotten to play yet. I think he's a freshman or a sophomore. He's available in the transfer portal. They also have a really high 4-star offensive tackle by the name of Amari Kite, and we need some offensive tackles because we're losing a 5-star to the NFL, and I think we need to replace him with a 5-star.
Yeah, we need some help and just depth in general. So we do need we basically need tight ends, we need a quarterback, we need receivers, we need cornerbacks. I don't think we're any different than anywhere else. You got people leaving and coming. I think we do have a lot of need because we're not playing with a full deck as in scholarships. So we've got to hit on them and hope we guess right. But the good thing about having this transfer portal is it's helped accelerate our resurrection from the Pruitt age. Imagine if we didn't have this transfer portal that came kind of at the right time for us, because if we didn't have extra years and player mobility and the ability to pay players, we'd have been sunk, absolutely sunk.
Yep. And then there's a great tight end out of South Carolina, Jaheim Bell.
Oh, that guy is, oh my goodness. When we were watching, when we were watching that South Carolina game, we were joking. It's like, you cannot tackle that guy. That guy will not go down. I would love to have that guy. That
He's
guy,
available. He
runs
available.
angry.
And we need a tight end. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So that would be a great pickup as well. Go ahead.
It'd be hard to watch. It'd be hard to watch him though, because every time you see him, you're just like, you just think of, you killed our season. But no, I mean, I'd love to have him.
Well, sometimes you got to bite the bullet and bring in somebody that hurts you. That happens a lot in the NFL. They're always trying to get the guy that beat them.
Yeah, if you can't beat them, have them join you.
Absolutely. So really, the transfer portal is what it's all about right now.
So we're going to have to pick up some 5-stars and some proven commodities. It's just the way it is. All right, that's my friend Byrone out at Fairways and Greens. He was taking a break between lessons this evening, and actually going to launch this in the morning. But anyway, I thought it would be a good idea to kind of discuss this. He follows the Vols really closely, of course. And Fairways and Greens is a really cool place where they talk about the Volunteers all the time out there, you can imagine. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's be able to continue to cover the Vols. And if you haven't subscribed, just hit the subscribe button. It's not that difficult.
I'm not going to beg you. My track record speaks for itself.
Can we stop this cruel game and allow the boy to keep one shred of dignity?
Exactly. Just stop the cruel game. Anyway, hope you did like the content. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.